Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today I'm here with a legend, Victoria College legend, president of Marg Ad last year, Aleksander Kiudorf.
Yep. I'm in Rotman. This is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. I know you've had Rotman people on here before, but you've had a lot of, I feel, undue slander towards the commerce department. A little bit of a throwback, but you mentioned to him that econ was like something like more useful or more challenging than commerce. And Rotman was just like real life experience. I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
Yeah.
You know, like it is job training more so in Rotman, but like it's not easy. This is the thing people misunderstand because like there's always this like stereotype about business school being easy. I don't think that's necessarily true in Rotman. Like if somebody went from comp sci or engineering wants to come like shit on Rotman, yeah, all the power to you. But then like having someone like you, or actually like let me take it further. Like I've had people in like political science tell me Rotman's easy, business is easy.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the VoV podcast, Voices of Vic. Today I'm here with a legend, Victoria College legend, president of Marg Ad last year, Aleksander Kiudorf.
Yep.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's okay.
It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
How's it been? How's life?
Life's been okay.
I feel like I'm really looking forward to this episode. Sorry to cut you off. This is just, I feel you got a nice chill vibe to you. I'm chilling. I'm wearing pretty relaxed shit.
Good to hear. Good to know that you're excited about this one. Life's been good. School has not been too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolling into midterm season.
Yeah, that's weird because we just got here.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get, I think like next week I have midterm.
Okay.
Feels weird.
Feels weird.
I'm still in landscaping mode. That's what I did in the summer.
Landscaping.
As a landscaper. Oh yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
I respect the construction industry 100%.
Yep. I was a tradie briefly.
Nice. Yeah.
It was good. It was good. It was fun.
How do you like seeing these guys in King's Circle? Does it give you a bit of nostalgia? Would you like to join in, give them a hand?
You know, every time I see somebody mowing a lawn, I just think that I could do it better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think I could most of the time. Like I see these guys around U of T mowing lawns and they're schmucks.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Commerce.
Commerce.
I'm in Rotman. This is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I know you've had Rotman people on here before.
100%.
But you've had a lot of, I feel, undue slander towards the commerce department. I remember you talked to Daniel. A little bit of a throwback, but you mentioned to him that econ was like something like more useful or more challenging than commerce, and Rotman was just like real life experience.
Right.
You know, I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
Yeah.
You know, like it is job training more so in Rotman, but like it's not easy. This is the thing people misunderstand because like there's always this like stereotype about business school being easy.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I don't think that's necessarily true in Rotman. Like if somebody went from comp sci or engineering wants to come like shit on Rotman, I can swear, right?
Sorry?
I can swear.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. They want to shit on Rotman for it being easy. Yeah, all the power to you. But then like having someone like you, or actually like let me take it further. Like I've had people in like political science tell me Rotman's easy, business is easy.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
That's fair.
Right.
And when I say, that's the thing, actually, I will clarify.
Yeah.
I did never say in that episode that econ was harder than Rotman. Mm-hmm. I said in general, arts and science classes, particularly, I think I did use computer science as an example. Mm-hmm. But another clarification I will make is that I talked about this on one of the other episodes. I shit on Rotman a lot.
Yeah, you do.
On this podcast.
Yeah, you do.
In real life, it's fun and games, but on this podcast, I love digging into them.
No, it's easy to shit on. Like you can shit. People can shit on Rotman if you want to.
100%. And the funny thing about it is that I want to go into business.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to be an economist.
Yeah.
That shit's boring as hell.
It's bad.
Yeah, 100%. That's not. I feel like that's not even a real job.
Yeah.
But business is everything.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like maybe I misunderstood you because you said arts and science. When you say arts and science, I hear arts first and I think of history. And I'm doing a history minor.
Yeah.
And for somebody to come to me and be like, your history course, your 220, that is harder than financial accounting.
Yeah.
That pisses me off because people say that about business and then I'm like people hear like arts and science is harder and then they get it in their head like I'm a political scientist. Rotman kids, easy.
Yeah.
U of T's business school I want to say is more difficult because I compared my friends at Queens or UBC. Like we do more technical stuff. But it's like it's still business.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't know. And the one thing I also said, huge credit to Rotman students. The example I gave, the reason I shit on Rotman students is because I don't think they take it too personally. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the example I gave. You don't make fun of your fat friend for being fat.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have an actually like 300-pound friend, you're not going to call him obese every single day. That's rude.
Yeah.
But you call your friend who's in shape, who's maybe skipped the gym once, start calling him fat. I call my brother fat all the time. This guy is jacked. He's in super well shaped. But that's the same thing I see with Rotman. The reason I make fun of Rotman students so well is because I think that they're actually doing education that will lead to some career benefits. Yeah. Whereas if I started making fun of arts and science students, that shit would get a little too personal. Because a lot of them are lost souls, I believe. Yeah,
I mean, I can get that. And like coming from, like I wanted to do history originally. That was what I wanted to do. I applied to like a bunch of schools for history. Yeah. I chose Rotman not because I'm passionate about business. Everybody who comes to Rotman, they say like they're passionate about business. They want to be in finance or whatever. Yeah. That's just not fucking true. People want to make money. They want to make cash. Yeah. And I was looking at it. I was looking into academia. I was looking into archaeology because that's what I wanted to do, like specialize in pre-Columbian archaeology and history here.
Pre-Columbian?
Yeah, like Aztecs and stuff. And then like Cahokia in the US.
Interesting.
So that's what stuff that was really interesting to me. But at the same time, I don't want to be broke. Yeah. Right. And there's not a lot of those academia positions. I talk to a lot of like more people than you expect are being like, I'm going to be a professor in the future. And it's just like, we have a class of like 100 and like 2 get that opportunity maybe. Yeah. Right. I didn't want to do that. So I did Rotman. I'm fine with it. Like nobody loves business. I don't hate business. Right. Like if people love business, that's alarming. You know what I'm saying? Like if their passion in life, like what gets them going out of bed every day is accounting. Yeah. That's weird.
Got it.
Right? Just that's I don't know. That's how.
That's a hot take.
I mean,
you're gonna piss off some accountants out there,
dude. It's all of them
crunching numbers.
Yeah, like it's sort of the thing where like the more money you have in life, the more often, like the more likely you are to get into the arts. Because I feel like people naturally are creative and they want to do an artistic field.
That is interesting,
right? Yeah. But they have to find a way to support themselves somehow.
Right.
Like I don't know.
The longest time ever, I really wanted to be in Rotman. But then, like, the more I talk to Rotman students, I feel like they don't actually talk a lot about entrepreneurship. It's more like working in corporations and that kind of thing.
There is
like they glorify these. What is it? It's the Big Four. Everyone gets so excited. I got hired by P&G.
So there's 2 reasons for that. One, like Rotman has a lot of like connections with those companies. We get funding and they do recruiting out of here. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure from the profs to go towards the Big Four, and a lot of them are former Big Four. And the thing with that, with the Big Four, is that the opportunity to work for them, it's like bragging rights, like, oh, that's what everyone's going for. But it gives you a lot of exit opportunities. So if you go to the Big Four, that's not like your long-term goal, I find most of the time. People want to transfer out and to do other things.
It looks good on a resume?
Looks good on a resume because like you do 3 years P&G, KPMG, whatever, right? And then you go and you move to a different company, you move to a startup, smaller thing, and you get like a better position. But because you work for the Big Four, you get that opportunity.
Interesting.
There is little entrepreneurship, though. I agree with you. But it's kind of like how? Like they're a business school, and they want their students to be successful. And outright, most entrepreneurs, I'm sorry, like you're an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs do not make it big, are not Elon Musk.
I agree.
So if they were teaching all their students to be entrepreneurs, think of the next big thing, that success rate's going to be low.
That's a good point.
Right? That's a good point. They have to teach them to go towards the big programs. That's what everyone's going to do.
That's a good point.
Right? And then the people who are the real entrepreneurs, the best, they're still going to push through and they're still going to try.
Yeah. True. That's true. That makes sense.
We have an entrepreneur club. I wanted to join it, but I didn't, partially because of Rotman's club system.
What's wrong with it? Let's get into it.
Rotman clubs. It's been fixed now. It's better now. But for a long time they had an internship process. Yeah. So the only way into the club was to get an internship or be admitted to the club. And a lot of people want to do the clubs, and the professors want people to do the clubs. Yeah. They tell people to do the clubs, and they say like, this is how you get a job. You have to be in a club. So everyone goes into it thinking, I'm going to apply to 4 clubs. I'm going to get the opportunity to choose what I want. That's not how it is. Yeah. I can't remember which club it was. I think it was consulting or finance last year, which is the last year they had the internship process for first years. Had a lower acceptance rate than Harvard's business school for their club. Wow. The Rotman class is like 800 kids,
Yeah.
right? So
And why was it low? Is just because they don't accept a lot of people, or just because
They
the
accept-
people were
so-
incompetent?
they accept like 3,
3.
just outright. 3 for the club out of all the people who apply. And if you go to a private school, your chance of getting in is much higher.
What do you mean a private school?
UCC?
This isn't U of T.
No, this is like predetermined stuff. So people send their kids to UCC and other like
Yeah.
big private schools, UTS, for connections. And this is part of those connections. It happens at like all the business programs and all the business schools in Canada.
Got it.
If you go to UCC, you know people, right? So you know the people who were in the club previously.
Yeah.
And you know something. Like, you know, networking is your net worth.
Yeah.
Right? It is for these clubs because all the private school kids kind of know each other.
Yeah.
So they already know somebody going in, so that helps them get in. As well as that, like, the clubs always market that you don't need experience. Or they did. I need to keep saying like they did because they actually got rid of this internship process.
Got it.
But they always talked about how you didn't need experience to get an internship and join the club, which was just a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
Because the only people I know who got into the clubs were members of the clubs in their high school for consulting, finance, or whatever. I know one person who got in a club who didn't know anyone going in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that person went to a school with, I think it was 2,000 kids, and they had a case competition team that was very successful. Like, compared to my high school, it's 500 kids, small high school.
Yeah.
I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I'm making an excuse. I'm not. I didn't want to join that club.
Right.
But, like, I couldn't join a club without experience, and I couldn't get the experience in high school. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's different in the club process. Now it's general membership. You can show up to events, and if you keep going and you meet people again, like networking, you can get, like, invited to the club, which I think is a better way to do it.
Yeah.
But how it worked last year, especially because that's when I was in first year, was like really upsetting. Because I know some super smart people, very friendly, like who deserve to be in those clubs.
Yeah.
Who, you know, if they're accepting 3 people and they're the 4th, they just get cut out and they don't get anything.
Now, do you believe that it's actually changed, or do you think that they just say this is our new process, but still favor
So
the other
time
guys?
will tell, but they've made other ways into clubs that's not the internship process.
Okay.
Which I think is good.
Yeah.
Some of them still have internships, but they're just doing more events that are open to everyone.
Yeah.
Again, they're geared towards first years, so I can't do them now, which, you know, sucks, but whatever.
That's life.
Right? Yeah, it's okay.
So you sound a lot like me when you talk about business doesn't excite people. If you get up out of bed every day to want to be an accountant, you're a dummy, basically.
Well, I don't say you're a dummy. You're just weird.
It's weird. You're a weirdo.
Yeah.
So you are in Rotman. What gets you out of bed every day? Like, you want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Where? Is it accounting?
No. So I'm doing a management specialist. So there's 3 specializations in Rotman.
Okay.
Do you know?
A little.
So there's the finance and economics one,
Yep.
which a lot of people do. We can come back to that one, which there's something funny about it.
Okay.
There's the management specialist, which is the most broad. That includes human resources, operations, logistics, marketing, all that stuff. And then there's accounting.
Yeah.
So of the 100 kids in Rotman, 5 to 10 are doing accounting. 40 are probably doing finance and economics. 50 are doing management.
Yeah.
Finance and economics is funny because you have to take a bunch of economics courses, like as many economics courses as finance courses, to do it, which a lot of people don't know. So they just do it because it's the finance one. But if you do management, which is the one I'm doing, and you get a focus in finance, you can take more finance courses than if your specialization was finance and economics.
It's a good hack.
It's not even a hack. It's just like looking at your course schedule.
Yeah.
But the thing with finance at Rotman, and this is going to be another like freezing take people aren't going to like.
Okay.
U of T is not, for our undergrad program, we are not the finance school in Canada.
Who is?
Queen's.
Okay.
Western.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about U of T. U of T has the best business school in Canada, outright. But that's average across all disciplines and through master's programs. Does not mean we're the best at everything.
Yeah.
Finance, for example, we're not the best at. We're very good at one part of finance, quantitative finance, math.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you get all these kids coming to Rotman because it's the best business school in Canada, because that's what it is on paper. And they say they want to do finance. Maybe they saw The Wolf of Wall Street. Maybe they saw The Big Short. Big Short's a great movie, by the way.
I do like that movie.
That's one of my favorite movies. And they want to do finance like that, investment banking, whatever.
Not gonna lie, that confused me the first time I watched it.
Yeah, me too. My brother had to stop it and explain it to me.
Yeah.
We're like, there are people who go from U of T to investment banking to whatever, private equity. But that's like, I don't want to say we're not a target school, but we're not the target school for that.
Yeah.
And because I have family members who are involved in finance. They basically told me if you're doing finance, go to Queens.
Yeah.
Right? That is the target school. Like the American banks go to Queens. RBC and BMO might come here, but they're based out of Toronto.
Got it.
But like Morgan Stanley goes to Kingston. That's weird.
What do you mean they go like?
They send representatives.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they recruit.
Yeah.
So we do have a very good finance department. And for master's programs, for sure, it's really good. But we're quant. That's our thing. That's our shtick.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So does a part of you wish that you did Queens instead?
I'm not doing finance. I'm just doing management. I'm getting a focus in finance.
Management focus in finance,
yeah.
though, yeah.
But you get like multiple focuses. So how focuses work is focus in finance does not mean I'm doing finance. I'll get focus in finance, strategy and innovation, marketing, whatever.
Okay.
That just means I've done enough courses in finance.
I see.
And if you're applying to do an operations job, like how businesses work, or you're applying to do like really any job, and you've done well in finance courses and you understand like money flows, it looks better.
100%.
So
then what are you trying to weaponize the whole degree for? Like for a job after uni?
Right now, like operations,
just
like business processes and maybe supply chain stuff. I'm not really sure.
And is top 4 what you're trying to do?
KPMG,
as well? No.
Like the top 4, not really. That's really for consulting. Like the top 4, like consulting, accounting, and finance. Like they're different for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not what I want to do. Everybody wants to be a consultant.
Everybody wants to be a consultant.
Yeah.
That is one of the nerdiest things you could want to be.
So,
no offense.
I know you've talked about this and I agree with you. Like, what experience do you have coming out of university? And you don't have experience. You're good at books, but you're not like on paper, you could do very good consulting.
Yes.
But you don't have very much real experience. Like, I talked to my dad recently. This was really funny. And he said that if I didn't know what to do, I should do consulting.
Yeah.
Because nobody does consulting. Because he actually went to Rotman graduated in 1988.
Yeah.
And when he did it, nobody wanted to be a consultant.
Right.
So when I was explaining to him that like 40% of my class wants to be consultants, it blew his mind.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand it. Like, yeah, it's like cool and flexible and you get to like help all these different businesses.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand how I would go into, say, Procter & Gamble, or like a smaller company based out of Toronto.
Yeah.
How would I help them?
Right.
Like, what experience do I have?
Well, yeah, you're right. No, and they have to obviously train you up, and I don't think you'd start out as a consultant, which is the weird part of that.
No.
This is sounding a lot like a podcast I did with my friend Owen, but like my whole thing with that is that it's not even so much work. So many jobs today are complete, like they don't even do anything. And consulting, there are great consultants out there, but I'm just saying that like it's there's no production. I feel like for me, I need to make something. I need to take a bunch of nothing and then create. Whether, like, I'm not even saying it has to be physical, but creation. That's what work has been for thousands of years. People have built stuff. That's why I respect engineers so much, because they actually.
No, I respect engineers too.
Well, whether they actually build stuff or they make the instructions to build stuff, whatever it is. I feel like consulting is just empty. Finance, like I feel finance is empty. It's numbers on a screen. You don't actually make anything in the world.
Yeah, a lot of like.
What is meaningful work to you? Like, what does that mean? This is something I've been struggling with.
You know, dude, right now I don't know what like I want to do with my degree going forward. I know I want to stay in Rotman, but I don't know what meaningful work is for me. For me, right now, it's just doing something that you like, you don't hate, that at the end of the day you can be proud of. Right? Like I always thought when I was younger that finance is just made up and it's bullshit. Right? Like it's numbers on a screen. This is stupid.
Right.
And like in some regard, like, yeah, it was like invented. Like it's not a natural thing. Like It's an invention. But for better or for worse now, it's how things get done.
Yep.
right?
I agree.
We're not building buildings. We're not doing anything. People aren't living the lifestyle they are without finance.
Right.
So it is so ingrained into modern society that even if it's not like a real thing, you're not an engineer, you're not designing a bridge, I think it does contribute quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it really determines our ability to produce and expand.
That's fair. That's fair. I have a hard time grasping it. It's hard because it is invented.
Well, I mean, yeah, dude, like if I could be an engineer,
Yeah.
I would much rather design a car. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just not.
That's not what the system is. And I'm
not
not
where I'm going.
Yeah. And I'm not like one of these anti-money, like anti-bank, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not saying money is made how money is made. That's just how the game is. And I'm not complaining about that. I just, for a personal decision, I don't think I could dedicate my entire life to numbers on a screen and it's all fake. It's like it's invented.
I don't know if it's fake. Like, it represents real things, but I can understand what you mean.
You know what I mean?
But you want to do business, so what do you want to do then?
Right. So I want to do, for me, it's entrepreneurship. This is why, and another thing I will say, not only do I talk a lot of shit about Rotman, I do talk a lot of shit about university in general, which is super arrogant considering I am in university. Mm-hmm. It's like people who will talk shit about the country they live in when they are a member of that country. Yeah. That annoys me all the time. So I feel like I'm doing the same thing here. So I try to tone it down a little bit on the podcast. Like I just sound like an idiot complaining about university in university. But I'm in a position right now where I would love to work for myself. Entrepreneur, that's what that is, right?
I know, but like, what do you want to do then? Like, you need a product, you need something to peddle and sell.
Absolutely. So to start, once again, there's a lot of steps to where you want to go. Like if you think of your dream life, no one has a direct route towards their dream life, but they know maybe the next step. Yeah. So for me, what the next step is, I need to look at what is my most valuable skill right now, and what is a skill that is in high demand in the current marketplace.
Welding.
Welding?
Yep.
Doing welding.
Yeah, I'm a big welding guy.
Do you weld?
No, I don't weld. I have welded, but just keep going.
That's fair. No, I know welders. Welding's great. I don't know how to weld personally, so I wouldn't be able to take advantage of that. But the only thing that I would really consider myself high skill in, or the highest skill in right now, is video editing, which is, once again, I just spent all this time talking shit about finance. I know video editing is not really a real thing either, right? It's pixels on a screen. Yeah. But right now that's the best I got. Yeah. So the plan is to kind of make money with that to start while I'm in school. Because once again, I'm also trying to get good grades, get the degree, make my parents proud. So for the next 2 years, I'd like to kind of to work with that, video editing, and build up what I can, build up whatever experience I can, business knowledge. After university, we'll see. The world is my oyster, but that's the plan. Good. All right, so we'll move on from that.
Okay, we're back.
We're back. North Vancouver boy.
Yes, I am.
Parents from Sudbury.
Sudbury, Ontario, which, by the way, I just want to clarify this. Hated city, deserves a lot of the hate.
Okay.
All right.
Deserves a lot of the hate.
But like, a lot in Vancouver. No, a lot. I rep Vancouver. I was not born in Sudbury. But like, the thing with Sudbury is like, people shit on it nonstop, and shit on Northern Ontario. Yeah. It's not as bad as people think.
They got the big coin there.
The big nickel, yes sir. There used to be a big penny and a big American 50 cent.
Yeah.
But like, I would rather live in Sudbury than like Windsor, Ontario, and maybe that's a freezing cold take.
Right.
But like, what Sudbury has that like the other southern Ontario cities don't have is that everything around Sudbury is beautiful.
Nature?
Yeah, the nature is beautiful. Yeah. Like the Shield and everything, and Killarney Provincial Park's right there. Like, I don't know. I think Southern Ontario people don't understand Northern Ontario that much.
Yeah, fair.
They think Northern Ontario starts in like North York.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then people in Muskoka thinks it starts at Barrie.
Right.
But it barely starts at Sudbury.
Right.
Like, it's a big place.
It is. Yeah. No, it's huge. We were talking about country as a whole. I was yesterday got a gift. I officially have completed the university student's dream of having his country's flags pinned up in his room. So I got Canada and Mexico because I'm half Mexican.
Okay, nice.
Repped up there. How do you feel about you? You're talking about political science earlier.
Yes,
but
I'm not a political science student.
Not a political science student, but you got some thoughts.
I think Canada is a poorly run country. I think just how our system is structured, like the levels of government isn't very good. Like the municipalities versus provincial versus federal.
Yeah.
They have different needs and different like ability to give money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always go where it needs to be. I also think there is a crazy amount of bureaucracy in Canada.
Right.
Like an insane amount. And a lot of it's unnecessary.
Completely agree.
Like I know that the CRA, they were on strike recently for better wages and better like benefits and all that stuff to keep up with inflation. Fair enough. But like it's an organization that's notoriously poorly run, makes everyone else's life harder, right?
What's the CRA again? Just
Canadian Revenue Association.
There you go.
And then they also like, I feel like they don't work as much as they might in like other places. So my dad is from, he's Estonian.
Yeah.
And Estonia is a very new country and it's a small country. So it's difficult to compare. But that is a well-run country. There's little bureaucracy in Estonia because it's new and there's less tradition.
Yeah.
And it has the ability wherever it can to streamline things. So everything in Estonia is on a portal online. You can vote online. The government tells you how much money you have to pay in tax. Everything you need, the news, it's all from one portal. And if you compare that to Canada, everything's in different places. Nobody knows how to do it unless you email them. When you email them, it takes days.
Yeah.
Right? Everything takes a really long time, getting passports, doctors are a bit different, but like anything from the government. And then you turn around and all the people working in those departments want more money.
Yeah.
And I just think like maybe from a business perspective, like I'm talking about streamlining and like constraints, like making everything more efficient so costs go down so they can get more done.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're not doing that because like how work is done over the last 20 years has changed a lot with computers and access to everything and AI now.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't, like the amount of work being done hasn't kept up with that.
And I saw a thing, I wish I remembered it. It was so interesting the way this guy was talking about the natural progression over years and years of the development of a nation or a business or whatever it is. And bureaucracy is usually where it ends. Like that's the final stage.
Yeah.
There's the bureaucrats come in, it's usually you realize that the country's on the end of its progression line because that's the final end. So where you're talking about Estonia, I think the reason, which sounds awesome, that portal sounds dope. You'll have to show me that Estonia.com or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that it's not necessarily that Estonia is much superior than Canada. It's that once again you said it's young, and naturally over time, I bet that there was a point where Canada wasn't as bad as it is right now, and Estonia, if history tells us anything, will eventually get to that point. Hopefully not, but I feel like it's very natural. It's unfortunate that we're in that time period now.
Bureaucracy has existed in Canada. It's kind of how government works like forever. I just think ours is like super brazen now.
Right.
And they're not really trying to improve it. Like Canada's throwing money everywhere. We're throwing money at like a variety of things, whether you think money deserves to be there or not. But we don't have a department to like investigate the departments within Canada to make sure everything's running smoothly and money isn't being wasted. I think a lot of money is being wasted.
Agree.
Right? But then that wouldn't involve the government investigating itself.
Yeah.
Which will never happen.
Right.
Right? Like, I guess this is more like with democracy. Like, the political parties and the politicians in Canada are never going to do anything now, at least. Maybe back in the past, they might have. They thought about it. They were more stalwart with their... can't remember the word right now, stalwart with their like values.
Yeah.
But now they're never going to do anything that doesn't benefit them. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
You talk about like, this is a bit different, but like we're talking about like housing prices in Canada are crazy. The minister for affordable housing, I think it's Minister for Affordable Housing. The one that just got kicked out was a house flipper.
Yeah.
Like he owned like 6 or 7 rental properties. So he is never going to do anything to bring prices down.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you can find that throughout all like Canadian politicians. This is why this is like, again, maybe a bit of a transfer, but like, I don't think housing prices are going down. If they do, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But like if a bubble pops, sure. But the government has been doing everything they can to stop that from happening. I believe that.
To stop them from going down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting. Why?
Like,
What makes you think that?
well, it's not in the best interest of the individuals who run the government, like the politicians, the MPs.
Yep.
And Glenn and I have talked about this a lot.
Yep.
We've argued about this a lot. But like the MPs make quite a bit of money, and a lot of it is comped for being like MP, like flights back and forth and whatever, and food. So actually, just off that, like the MP salary for food is like $150 a day from taxpayer money. This is what I'm talking about, like government's money's being wasted in all spots. It's a lot.
Yeah.
For all 300 and something MPs.
Yeah.
So, but like when it talks about like, they're not allowed to own stocks as much in Canada. In the US they are. That's why you look at Nancy Pelosi and like a lot of American senators make absurd amount of money because they buy stocks and then they legislate based on it. They're not allowed to do that in Canada. They are allowed to own real estate. So it is their only investment.
Interesting.
And I don't think that's the entire reason they're not bringing prices down. I think probably a bigger reason, maybe 60% of it, is that Canada has become addicted to housing prices and leasing and all that stuff. It's the largest driver of our economy by share of GDP growth.
Yeah.
Is housing. If that bubble bursts, which like I know earlier I was saying like, oh yeah, burst. That's going to be so bad.
Yeah.
So many people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Big Short earlier, but there was some like saying in the U.S. like if unemployment goes up 1%, like 50,000 people die.
So yeah.
So
yeah, that's a super interesting. Was it 50,000?
it was something like that.
It was something wild. Yeah. For
Yeah.
every percent, like there's a bunch of people. Yeah.
So the bubble bursts, housing gets more affordable. People lose their jobs. I work in the landscaping industry. That collapses because people aren't going to pay for landscaping anymore.
Yeah.
They lose their jobs. They go on unemployment. Government hemorrhages money. People go on unemployment and they die.
Yeah.
Everybody loses their jobs. We have to recover, whatever. But then maybe in 5-10 years from now, we might be able to afford a house. It's like a balance. This is like, it's been so unrestrained. I don't think that like a massive correction is good. I wish like in the past, in 2015, when Trudeau got into power and he said, housing is a priority of mine, he wasn't like lying about it. Like he actually did something.
Right.
Because 2015 prices were crazy. We're crazy now. Like people don't actually understand how crazy it is now. You know, Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
Always people talk about it being like a big place where you should move if you don't want to go to Vancouver or Toronto.
Yeah.
The rental for a place in Calgary is as expensive now as Vancouver was pre-COVID. And pre-COVID, Vancouver was like the second most expensive in the world.
Jeez.
So there's flaws with Canada. And we were talking about this off camera, like with housing. I don't know if I want to live here because I want to own a house at some point.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's going to be possible.
So where's your landing spot?
I always look at the U.S.
Yeah.
Very flawed country, very messed up. Don't think it's a full democracy. I think they have huge political problems.
Absolutely.
And maybe this is my Rotman mindset coming in. If you live in the U.S., like Seattle, for example, Seattle, Vancouver, very similar cities.
Yep.
You get paid 30% more in Seattle, like in dollar value. Your currency is worth 30% more. Everything costs 30% less.
Is that true?
In my field?
In your
yes.
field?
Yeah.
In your field, yeah.
I'm talking about my field.
We were looking at because they just boosted the minimum wage in Ontario.
Yeah.
Which is, even when you do the conversion rate, it's still way higher than most of the states in the U.S.
Yeah.
Which, once again, is minimum wage really what you want to base how much you're going to earn off, right?
No.
Not for you.
But also like purchasing power in US dollars based on what they can buy in their local communities is better than it is here.
Yeah.
So maybe I should have phrased that better. Like for me, how in the like where I'm going into work and for most of business, you get paid more in the US, the dollar's worth more, there's more opportunities, everything is cheaper. Right. Purchasing power is better. And then as well as that, people always talk about healthcare, and the healthcare system in the US is crazy.
Right.
But for that top 1/3 that it benefits, like that it works well for, it is the best healthcare system in the world, bar none.
It's top 1/3?
Well, maybe 1/4. I don't like it's more people than you would expect because a lot of people get it from jobs.
Yeah.
That top 1/3, 1/4 that it works well for, that bottom half, it's awful. Right. But that top part, it's amazing.
Interesting. So let's how much do you know about healthcare? Like, do you talk about that a lot? Like, can you give me like a coherent opinion? I don't want to just ask you about healthcare if that's not something you think about too often.
Shoot, maybe.
I'd just be interested to hear like
Okay,
what you
sure.
think comparing Canada to the US.
Yeah, sure.
So what are your thoughts?
I was gonna just come out and say we have a better healthcare system here, and I think we do because it's more fair.
Yeah.
Outright. I do not like the American system. It's bad. It's not good. But Canada has the unique disadvantage of being positioned next to the US. And if you become a doctor in Canada, it's much easier to do that because they've removed a lot of barriers, and it's always been this way because we don't have enough doctors.
Yeah.
My cousins did this that I'm about to talk about, but you can become a doctor in Canada. It's subsidized, it's cheaper, and you can become it in like 7 years instead of the 9 it takes in the US. And once you finish it, and it's been subsidized by the government, you can move to the US and make salaries like you had done your entire residency there.
Yeah.
So there was some statistic, like the UBC class of 2022 doctors, of the 150 graduates, 2 were staying in BC to be family doctors.
Yikes.
So I think our healthcare system benefits all people. It basically brings everybody down to the same level. And the US, it's like staggered based on how much money you have.
Yeah.
But ours, it's like averaged out. I think we need more doctors.
Yeah.
I think the federal government needs to like loosen the restrictions on people coming from other countries here and then trying to be doctors and they can't.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a doctor in Iran, the body doesn't change.
Yeah.
Pay for a course for that guy or girl to do, and then they'd be a doctor here. I think that would solve a lot of our problems, but that's difficult to do. I think our healthcare system now is bad.
Yeah. And it's these types of issues. When I was in high school, I talked about politics a lot. I've kind of dimmed down on these things because I've started to notice how much of a tangled web it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of these issues are interesting to talk about in isolation, but they're all interconnected. Like you can't talk about housing without talking about healthcare, without talking about this and that and leadership and voting and everything. It's all connected. So it's, once again, it's easy. It's not easy actually to make the comparison of Canada to the US, but it's even way harder when you have to look at all these other variables that play into it. Like once again, getting doctors in from Iran to work in Canada, that sounds great, but then there's a whole bunch of other issues you have to look at.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not being macro, like just looking at healthcare. Earlier this year, a child died in Surrey, in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And they were able to attribute that strictly due to the fact there was not a hospital bed for her. It was a preventable death. That's how they attributed it.
Yikes.
So we can talk about all the different parts of Canada and how they all affect the healthcare system.
Yeah.
But our system there needs to be work done quickly because we're 5-6 years behind where we should have started going. My sister's a nurse.
Yeah.
The nursing school she does in UBC, even though we're short on nurses, we have we're like negative 5,000 or whatever. I just made that up, but like pretty big number in BC.
Yeah.
The acceptance rate of her nursing school is still like 6%. They're not subsidizing it open more positions.
Yeah.
Right? In doctors, we subsidize doctors to get like 1 or 2 more family doctors. We throw $1 million at it. Right? We're doing something, says like the provincial government, but like that's 2 doctors. We're short hundreds.
Yeah.
Right? Part of the problem is that when we accept doctors in Canada, we accept many of them internationally and many of them to be Canadian. They compete against each other, but there's no incentive for the doctors who come from international places to stay here.
Right.
And then the medical program is subsidized by the government. So the international students are still paying absurd amounts of money to do it. The government's paying also into that pool. And then once they get their degree, their Canadian medical license, they leave. Like, like Saudi Arabia, something like 90% of the doctors are educated in Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we just don't have a good medical system. And like, this is super selfish of me to say, but part of me wants to go to the US. Like, if I graduate and get a job there,
Yeah.
because the insurance I would get from being in the US would get me better healthcare than anywhere in Canada.
Where does all your political knowledge come from? I'm surprised you're not a political science because you know a lot about this.
My family talks about it.
Yeah.
Like my mom's a lawyer and my dad worked in like hydro. But I want to say like we just talk about this stuff all the time, like what's going on in the news. And for a lot of us, minus my sister, it's politics. What's interesting, what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like when Yaroslav Hunka went to the House of Commons, which the Ukrainian guy,
Yeah.
I called my dad and was like, "Can you believe this?" We just talk about politics.
Yeah.
Like I'm not I don't. That's not what I want to do. I would die because you have to be so soulless to like make a career in politics.
Right.
It's all a popularity contest. It's all about saying what people want to hear.
Sorry, Glenn.
Sorry, like Glenn and I argue about this a lot, but it's like I believe that politicians want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But I believe they want to do the right thing within their party and whatever their party believes is the right thing. Like I'll be talking to Glenn and he'll just be like, you have to vote liberal because all the other parties are anti-abortion. That isn't true.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I think that,
I don't know.
what was I going to say?
It's hard to like, I would not want to do that, be a politician at all.
I think that, yeah, sorry, I remember what I was going to say. With politics, you can't, the only way to get your ideas, the only way to create winning ideas is to step over that line that your enemy's not willing to go. And so whether if it's the liberals and conservatives, each of them need to take a step beyond what is rational and morally right. And even if you just take that 1-inch step, you're still ahead of the other guys. So now they need to take a 2-inch step, and you guys need to keep inching further away from anything that's morally correct, which is where I think you get why people say that politicians are soulless, because they become so tunnel visioned in getting their ideas that at the core probably had really good intentions. Yeah. But you have to take it to such an extreme to actually implement them.
I think ultimately political parties like doesn't benefit like Canadians. And I think
what's the alternative?
Good. No, it's good to have political parties. This is more like a theory.
Got
good
it.
to have political parties. I don't think there's a good way to do it without it. Because if you don't, you end up with like Italy, where there's like 60 different blocks and their governments last a year.
Yeah.
But what the politicians may want like individually and what the Canadians may want individually are much more diverse than the 3 parties we have. Mm-hmm. Right? So you have to just find whichever one fits the most of your values and then just toughen up and be okay with everything bad they do.
Fair.
You know? Because like I think the Liberal Party is really bad at like running a government. But the Conservative Party is ridiculous. Like is outright like stupid. I won't vote for them. And I think the NDP also has some like really good parts of them, but some like really bad policies. So you just have to find the one that like aligns most with your values, but you'll never be fully satisfied. And that's, I guess, what happens with political parties.
Right.
Right? But then you just have to like tolerate some of the bad things they do.
It's interesting. So what is your main concerns if you were to eventually move to the U.S.? Yeah, you're talking about tolerating things.
Safety.
There's a lot of great parts about America.
Yeah.
What are some of the concerns you might have?
Safety.
If you had
The
safety?
crime rate in the U.S. is higher almost everywhere than it is here.
Yeah.
Toronto's a very safe city, and I feel uncomfortable in some areas. But American cities mostly are more dangerous. There's just a lot more violent crime, theft, all that stuff. I don't like the freeway system. Like there's highways right through Portland, which is ridiculous. That's just like not a genuine concern. It's just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The biggest one would be safety, and I am worried about their political climate for sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if the job opportunity is better to move to the US and like have a good standard of living versus staying in here and just watching the Canadian system fight itself to the point where we get like the US, I don't know, because I think we could be heading in that direction.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. What about like the fact that the US is also such a bigger target on the global scale? Like if we were heading towards a WW3, Canada.
Doesn't matter. If there's a WW3, it doesn't matter where you are, you're dead.
You don't think people are upset? You don't think people are gonna leave Canada alone? They're
No.
kind of soft.
We're in NATO.
No one really cares about Canada.
Well, we're just, I guess with geopolitics, we're in NATO.
Yeah.
So we talked about Estonia. If Russia invades Estonia, which, by the way, Russia and Ukraine, Russia doesn't acknowledge the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania as independent. So if Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania weren't in NATO, they would have been conquered a lot earlier than Ukraine.
Is Ukraine not in NATO?
No.
Oh, okay.
So Estonia is in NATO. So if any country in NATO gets invaded, right, any of them, we're at war with who invaded them.
Yeah.
And if that country is backed by Russia or China, we're all dead. Like, it doesn't matter. We're all dead.
Got it.
Like, the amount of, like, there are enough weapons in this world to kill every living thing.
100%.
And I want to say for worse here, there's no for better here thing. The weapons that China, the US, and less Russia have, because they're pretty inept, as we're seeing in Ukraine, are just insane.
Yeah.
Like, the F-22 fighter that the US has. Billions of dollars going into building this plane. They've never used it.
Yeah.
Might be the F-30. I don't know which. It's the newest one. They've never used it. It's a stealth fighter. It can carry a nuclear warhead. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if we go to war with China, or the U.S. goes to war with China, everybody's dead. So it doesn't matter if the U.S. is a bigger target. Like, unless you're talking about, like, terrorism, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're also more serious with terrorism. Like, they have a lot of protections. Like, I don't know if you've flown much through the U.S. Have you, flown through, like, a lot of American airports?
Not really.
I find their security more thorough.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So
Has to be.
it has to be.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I'd always get scared because we would be going through the airport in Seattle, I think this was, and there's just this pillar in the middle of the airport, and on it is a photo of the second plane hitting the tower, and it just says, like, don't forget, do your job.
Yeah.
Towards, like, the border security people, which scared me as a kid, but they take
Yeah.
it super seriously there.
Damn.
So I think just safety overall would be my biggest concern in the U.S.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an interesting place. It does, like, my cousins are American, so, like, maybe I'm a bit biased there, but, like, I don't know. It's also flawed for me to say, like, I'll acknowledge this. Like, the U.S. has done some crazy things in the past. Like, it's not a good country.
Right. And we're also talking about this off camera about moving outside of Canada. I've considered leaving Canada once I'm done university, depending on the future of the leadership. Once again, I'm not going to go too deep into any sort of politics, but I feel like Canada is becoming more and more censored, which I'm not a huge fan of. Trudeau just passed some sort of law to regulate podcasts. Yeah. He's after VoV. It's not.
He knew I was coming.
Don't know what we did. We made a whole episode. Trudeau was in the thumbnail on Glenn's thing. Yeah, he knew you were coming. That's probably what it was. But I don't think I'd want to move to the U.S. We were talking about you would want to go, if it wasn't the U.S., you'd still want to consider an English-speaking country.
So, yeah, we talked about this.
For me, that's not really a priority. I think that I could go somewhere and still work. We were talking about working online, working on the
internet. I don't know if I want to do remote work. I'm not a very efficient remote worker.
Got it.
I don't know, because it's like we did all the remote work over COVID.
Yeah.
And now it's already leaving again. I don't know if remote work is, like, the long-term destination.
Got it.
So you can move anywhere in the world and then do remote work, but for a lot of jobs, eventually you're going to have to be in the office, you're going to have to fly, and there's costs associated with that. So I'd much rather be in a place where I work in the city and then be able to work from home sometimes. I think that's a much better alternative.
Got it.
I think being face-to-face with people, like, in an office can really help with, like, conversations and discussions more so than a Zoom meeting.
I agree with that. Well, this has been a very great episode. Thank you. It's fun. We talked a lot. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts for the people at home on the pod?
Work hard. Stay in school. That's what I'll say.
Respect. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Till next time. Now, if you want again,
I'll
later
be
in the year.
Two-time guest.
Yeah, if you're interested.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Peace out.